Hi guys, welcome to week 2. You guys have survived the first week in 3800 and I'm really pleased with the activity, the engagement that I've seen, and how quickly you guys have really jumped in and just immediately become part of the course. So I'm thrilled to see that. I usually don't do an introductory video during week 1 because inevitably I'm throwing 1,000 things at you. Read the syllabus, read the course calendar, try to figure out how this course is supposed to work. So in week 2 is really the first time that I like to say hello visually because I think I have a greater chance of you guys actually listening to what I have to say, but more importantly, taking it in. And so what I want to do right now is just for a couple of minutes talk about what is coming up. Week 2 is really a shift in this course. We move from what is just the general introduction, the roots of IO psychology, to where we really begin to dive deep and directly into how IO psychology is applied. And this is important because you will notice a trend as we move from the beginning to end of this course. We begin really with that heavy emphasis on HR, human resources practice that was covered when we talk about some of the more industrial sides of IO psychology. And as we move through the course, what will happen is we will begin to move into what is more on the organizational or the organizational behavior side of IO, which includes things like leadership, motivation, things that are a little bit broader in context, but very much relevant today. And so right now, week 2, what we're going into is something called job analysis. And job analysis is the first thing we cover because it is the cornerstone of an ideal HR practice, period. Job analysis is basically a means of evaluating and assessing what exactly a job is. And that may sound pretty silly fundamentally, but it's really important because one of the first things that many employers do when they want to get an idea of what a job looks like for either posting or writing a job description to potentially hire someone is they will ask the employee who holds the job, what we call, and you will see in this course, called the incumbent. Well, generally speaking, the best way to get the most inaccurate results is to ask the person who's actually doing the job. Generally, we think we have a pretty good grasp on what we do every single day, but the reality is that it's much more difficult to be objective about how much time we spend on things, how important something is to me performing the job successfully, or how much I feel prepared to do these tasks well. All of those factors are very difficult for us to report on ourselves. And that when you break it down that way, it makes some sense. So the question becomes, how do we get an effective, objective, and actionable picture of what a job looks like? But also the other side of this is, what does an individual who is ideal, that perfect fit for the job, what qualities and characteristics do they have? If we can answer these questions, then we optimize a lot of the typical HR operations. So we're going to write the correct job description. We're going to assess the candidates that we bring in for interviews in the right way so that we know that we're getting a true measure on the skills, the knowledge that they have. It's also going to impact how we write the job description. What are those qualifications? Is it really necessary for this job to have a bachelor's degree? Or could someone perform it with a special certification? We will go into this in greater depth, but what you guys are going to do this week is really explore the textbook overview of the job analysis. You're going to be looking at my own video lectures covering the PowerPoints on job analysis, job analysis methods, and then job evaluation, which is separate and distinct from job analysis. And then you are going to be presented with the instructions for your abbreviated job analysis assignment. And this is an important assignment in this course. You have a couple of weeks to get it done, but it is, in terms of instruction length and guidelines and the way that it needs to be executed, it requires a great deal of precision. So I want you guys to try to dive into this content as quickly as possible, and then to immediately begin looking at the instructions for that assignment, because it's going to be very, very important that you guys go ahead, get started now. It will involve some people outside this course for an interview, and it'll be very important that you guys start that process now. So I'm looking forward to this week. I'm exceptionally excited to get to read more of your discussion posts, and I hope to have grades returned to you as quickly as possible. So here's to week 2, and I will see you again in week 3.